Good evening and welcome to FREEFEST 2021. My name is Ross Dia and I'm the co-founder of FREEFEST and Flypaper. Tonight, we welcome you to a conversation entitled We Build the Block, which focuses on the work and lives of artists and activists doing community-based and centered work. Tonight, we welcome artists from We Build the Block, Operation Crew Count, and the Empire Marching Elite. Tonight's panel is hosted by Anaiis Cisco, filmmaker, and Paperboy Love Prince, candidate for mayor of New York. Paperboy will join us shortly after we begin, but I'm delighted to welcome our panelists after this short video.
Sorry about that. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anaiis Cisco, and I'm happy to be here with this generation's leaders, musicians, and activists. We have Jaden Bailey, who resides in Brownsville, Brooklyn, New York, and is here representing for the Empire Marching Elite. And we have Jalil Allah, residing in Crown Heights, who is representing both the Empire Marching Elite and Crew Count. As a filmmaker and educator, there's so much that I learned from young people, including my students and mentees. And so I'm hoping that tonight we can engage in a discussion about the work that these two young men are doing. So can we welcome Jaden Bailey and Jalil Allah? How are you two doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing good.
Awesome. Happy
How
to
you
be
doing
here
today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. First, I just want to speak to that video that we just watched, which was so beautifully shot, edited, like prepared. I was hoping that maybe Jaden, you could speak about the creation of this video and then overall your work with the Empire Elite Marching Band.
So basically what you saw was one of the cadences that a drumline performed. Their name is Vibration Nations. Super cool, super lit. And basically, you know, as a member of the band, yeah, we just try to teach people HBCU style marching bands just in New York because we don't have a lot of those over here. Try to emulate and bring people back to the feeling of down south and marching band in colleges and things like that.
I love that you spoke about just that connection to the South. Because what I did notice, I was like, oh, this is a Brooklyn band, but it's based in nature. Like the choice to have the film take place not in the city that we all know and recognize, but like in these landscapes of trees and just beautiful backdrops of skies. Could you talk about maybe the thought behind choosing to, or I guess you did, in speaking to that connection to the South? What instrument do you play on the team?
Mainly I play the baritone or the euphonium, but as of recently, I have joined Vibration Nation, so I'm actually a bass player as well.
Oh, that's awesome. That's excellent. Jalil, you mentioned that your brother's featured in the film and that you are also a part of the band. Can you talk about how you got involved with the squad and then what you're also working on now, as you are affiliated with both the band and then also Crew Count?
Well, my brother Royal Highness is in the video. They should have put me in it for some reason. They didn't. But he was the one playing the bass drum in the yellow vest. And I'm also a part of the band, but I play trumpet. It's a different instrument in the horn line, not in the drum line that they're in. And I'm also on Crew Count. Crew Count is an organization where fellow youth, such as me and my friends, educate other youth on the importance of voting, how to vote, and trying to get people that represent us. And by us, I mean the over-policed neighborhoods and positions of power.
That's beautiful. How do you think, I guess both of you can answer this question. How do you think music has inspired your activism? Let's start with you, Jaden.
Well, music has a message behind it. Like a lot of music has a message behind it. And, you know, the messages are really motivational and really speak to you in a way that, you know, it makes you realize that not everything is the way that it should be. And a lot of things should be changed. You know, there's a lot of progression that we have to make. There's a lot of things that we should fix in the world. And, you know, music is almost like a channel to us. Music is like feeling liberated just for a little while, if you understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely. And
I want to build off of what Jaden said. Music is a different way to get your voice heard, in a sense, if you understand. Like, you could protest, you could do all the other things to get your voice heard, you could go vote, but music and art is two ways that you could really get your voice heard. You could draw some for graffiti on the wall saying go vote. You want everybody to go vote, knowing that voting is important. You could show them ranked choice voting, things like that. But music, different songs, just the way to express yourself and the way you're feeling, if you understand what I'm saying.
Definitely. I'm like, were you two born as activists, or like, how did you come into this consciousness? Like, you all are so sharp and saying such deep, powerful things. Like, how does one your age that has so many different influences impacting your life decide that you are wanting to walk and breathe and exist in a certain way?
It may be funny to me, it may not be funny to y'all, but it's a funny story to me. One day my mother walked up to me and was like, I got a job for you. I was like, with who? She was like, Dana. Dana's a person that y'all don't see behind the scenes. And that's how we started Crew Count. I'm one of the co-founders of Crew Count. We try to educate people on voting. It really wasn't something that I was thinking about, oh, I want to go help people and I want to educate others on voting, but started doing it and I liked it, so I said, might as well keep doing it. Hey, it wasn't that funny, but, you know.
It's absolutely funny. I love that your mom's like a part of this guidance as well. What about you, Jaden? Were you like, how did you come into your consciousness?
Me, it was just meeting people, experiencing things, and just branching out. Like, I was born in Crown Heights, but I was really raised in Brownsville. So I've been in Brownsville basically my whole life. So I know a lot of people over here, and their mindsets aren't just where they should be. And I feel like there's a lot of things that can help them change their mindset. And there's a lot of things that we can do to help build people so we can just move forward. And that's just kind of how I got into it.
That's awesome. So like marching band culture in the South and at HBCUs, we know to be super competitive and like well produced theatrical performances. In New York, I'm like, are there battles? Like, what's the marching band culture like in New York City? How does it go down? Is it like the Get Light crews on the subways that battle hard? Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, you can't have a band if you don't have a horn line. You feel me? So technically, the Empire Marching Elite would be the only horn band in New York as of right now.
Heard.
Not New York State. I'm talking about New York City, Brooklyn.
That's good to know.
Well, I'm not gonna say only marching band. That's not a school. That's what I would say. But down south, it gets real crazy down there.
Has the group been
FREEFEST, Battle of the Bands. You have to go. See one of those. It gets crazy.
You guys are gonna teach me about all of this. So please, when the next performance is, I'm there. But is there a traveling down? I know, Jaden, you mentioned that there's this connection to HBCUs, and being in New York City, we only have like CUNYs. The closest HBCU may be in Virginia or Maryland or Delaware or Ohio. But how are you all becoming aware about the history of HBCUs?
Well, like people, I don't even know like her position, but Miss Jada, a very important person, and her team as well, they get in contact with a lot of people from HBCUs. So, we had Zoom calls and, connections with people from Delaware State University, Virginia State University. So it ties us all in. So we get these connections so we can learn about what their style is and just build our overall knowledge of HBCUs and HBCU style marching bands.
I love that. So are you two planning to go to HBCUs once you're ready for that college life? Or are you already in college?
I'm not in college yet. I'm still in high school. But
nice.
I want to go to Southern University. Best marching band out there. Hands down. Okay. I don't care what anyone says. They're the best marching band out there.
What about you, Jaden?
For me, I'm not going to an HBCU. As of now, I think I'm gonna complete my 4 years in college. I'm going to LIU in New York, and then after I'm gonna go away somewhere, see if I can get like my master's in HBCU.
Excellent. So how does one who is out there in Brooklyn trying to figure it out join Crew Count or become a part of the work that Crew Count's doing or become a part of the Empire Marching Elite?
It's a little hard to be a part of Crew Count because it's not really an organization that you can join, but you can definitely do the work that we're doing because you don't have to be a part of Crew Count to go out there and educate people. June 22nd, go canvassing the polling sites. Well, it's not really canvassing, but you can go out and inform people that that's a polling site and that they should go vote. Not telling them who to vote for. And you can also inform them about ranked choice voting. Most of the people that's going to the polling sites don't know how to vote properly. They don't know that if you vote for one candidate in 05 slots, your vote gets disqualified. It doesn't count. You feel me? So you have to go educate people. You don't have to be a part of Crew Count to help people.
That's amazing. And what about joining or supporting the Empire Marching Elite? How does one do that?
Well, the Empire Marching Elite is a nonprofit organization, so it's free to anybody of all ages, kids, adults, anybody can join and support us. It's not hard to support us at all. Obviously, we take donations, but just sharing us, spreading the word about us, showing up to our performances mean so much because, it's not about the money, it's more about educating people, showing people that, in New York, we can do these things too. And just getting our name out there is a big difference as well. Just the overall exposure.
Thank you for that. I hope everyone who is listening supports both of these really great initiatives that are happening.
If they really want to support, come to Domino Park tomorrow. Crew Count will be there from 4. The band will show up around 6 o'clock. We'll all be there around the same time.
Yes, I plan to be there. So please come to Domino Park tomorrow from 4 to 10. There's like an incredible program of events. And I wanted to, I guess, get into now, I'm a filmmaker, right? And so my coming into wanting to make films was because of like organization from the 1960s and 80s or 70s that came out called the LA Rebellion. And so as there were like an abundance of protests, like similar to what we've been seeing in the last few years, the filmmakers of the LA Rebellion used film as a way of protesting. And so I look at myself as a media activist. And so I'm curious about how do you all identify as activists, and what does activism look like to you? Because it doesn't look only one way. There's so many different ways that we all can be actively doing something. Who would like to start? It looks like you both are, yeah, go for it.
I would just say that you have to be civically engaged. Let me just say, things small as following the news is being civically engaged. Knowing what's going on in your community is being civically engaged. If you understand what I'm saying. Helping people at polling sites, educating people about voting, letting people know that they should vote because it could change their community if you put the right people in places of power, such as mayor, your DA, your city council members, your comptroller, your public advocate, if you understand what I'm saying. Educating people, letting them know that if you want a change, you have to put somebody inside the system to break the system that's already corrupt. That's how I feel like you could be an advocate. It's just
for sure. Thank you for that perspective. What about you, Jaden?
I was having some technical difficulties. I did not hear the question.
No worries. The question was, how and what does activism look like to you? It could be a variety of ways. And Jalil just kind of described one way of making sure that you're aware of what's happening in your community, who's on the ballot, focusing on who's in office and making sure the right folks are in there representing us. What would you say? And it doesn't need to be the exact same way. We all are understanding activism way differently and are taking on activism in so many different ways. So I'm curious about your own activism. What does it look like to you?
I think for me, it's about educating people so they understand, you know, what they should be doing and make sure they're channeling the energy in the right way. Because there's a lot of ways, you know, to protest, to do things like that. But sometimes there's a better way to do it that can get a better result in the end. So I feel like it's about educating yourself and also spreading that knowledge to others to make sure that you're getting your result in the best way possible.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm gonna flip it and give you some rapid fire questions. Top 3 Brooklyn rappers.
Right. Myself, Job Bands, go look at me up on YouTube, you feel me? Then you got, I'm gonna put my man's Chinks from Mars up there. That's gang. And I'm gonna put 26AR up there. He's from Brooklyn. He popping right now in Brooklyn. I don't know how many people listen to him, but I listen to him. I mess with his music, so I'm gonna just go say 26AR.
Copy that. Jaden.
I also gotta say Chinks from Mars. I definitely gotta say him. Let me think. Like Chef G is fire. And I really can't even think of a third. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, just those two. That's it.
I love that your selections are all like independent artists. You're like,
No
what
26AR?
commercial radio? I'm about to right after we get off of this. I'm gonna.
I'm asking Jaden. No 26AR?
I don't think I do. I'm not gonna lie.
Jaden, we're gonna be put on right after this. We're gonna listen to some 026AO. Like, what's the name again?
26AR.
Oh, 26AR.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Top 3 activists. They don't have to be from Brooklyn.
Me, Colby Dunbar, Leah Rivera.
Nice. Tell me before you go, Jaden. tell the people, because oftentimes people don't know who the really powerful folks are. Tell the people who, just briefly, each of those folks are and why they're significant to you.
Kobe is my friend. I am myself, and Leah is my friend also. But Kobe is one of the co-founders of Crew Count, and Leah is a part of Crew Count also. So they both help with the work that we do.
Nice. Uplift the community. You're like, my homies are the best at everything. And I think Jaden's like, same. Those same folks. Awesome, awesome. So are there another film project coming? Like, will there be more music videos that Empire Marching Elite would do? And the same with Crew Count. Like, is media also being incorporated in some of those efforts to raise awareness around voting?
Definitely. If you go on YouTube and go to Crew Count's channel, we started Crew Talk. It's our podcast where we educate. We actually have interviews with Anaiis Cisco. He's the candidate for comptroller. Che Ose, and he's running for public advocate, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
Oh, or it's the borough president. My fault. But we also do block activations where we go to certain blocks. Like we went to St. Mark's between Kingston and Albany. We had a block activation, basically a block party where we have the band come out and play. But the main purpose of us being there is to get people to register to vote, spread awareness about voting.
Nice. I'm like, I wonder if your raps have like bars about voting. Like, does the music? You should. What? That's your message. A lot of my favorite rappers are somewhat very political, and hip hop started to be a political art form. Jaden, do you also make music aside from the music that you're playing with the band? Are you like
Actually, yeah, I am a singer. I did gospel in school, classical. So I did kind of delve into the music. I haven't made a lot of songs. I made one, and it's not even really finished, but I'm trying.
So when you gonna hop in the studio with me?
Okay, there's a collab happening right now.
I got you with the vocals. I got you with the vocals, bro.
Please, yes, and I want to use this song for my film. We can all make this like one big collaboration here. That's awesome. What else are you guys doing aside from the work that you're doing with these organizations? Is this like, listen, teenagers have full schedules. And so for you to also be doing the activism work in addition to like life happening as you're developing identities and consciousness, what else are you hoping to, I guess, do in this time, or what else keeps you sane or focused? Or
my life is school, work, band. That's it.
Okay.
I don't do anything else.
Band is your outlet, you would say?
Not
or is
really.
It work? What's your outlet?
I guess you could say band. I guess you could say that because my friends are there. So
nice. What about you, Jaden?
For me, it really is basically the same thing. You know, school, work, band, but not only band, just like music in general. Because I'm into so many different types of genres, so many different types of music. I can't really just stick to one thing.
No, that's amazing. I made an opera film for the first time, and I don't know anything about opera. And I went in and I was like, I'm gonna just bring my own swag into this space and draw from what I am inspired by. And so tomorrow you all will get to see that opera film. And I feel like it's like one of the dopest pieces I've ever made. I got to work with 3 Black opera singers, which I don't even know that exist in the world, but there are tons of Black musicians like yourselves who are really doing some powerful work. Anything else that you all are hoping to do this year with the events happening at Crew Count or Empire Marching Elite? What's happening outside of tomorrow? If we don't make it to Domino Park tomorrow, where should we go find Crew Count and the Empire Marching?
I can't give you a date yet, but I can say a block activation is in the making in Brevoort, in Bed-Stuy, on what's that, Fulton and Ralph.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
Can't
good to
give you a
know.
date, but it's coming soon.
Excellent. Jaden, when's the next appearance? Can we see the Empire Marching Elite?
We definitely have some shows coming up towards the end of the month. We don't have specific locations as of yet, but we'll definitely be around. We definitely will be promoting what we're doing. So you definitely see us.
Nice. And Jalil, you mentioned block activations with that event that's pending. Can you describe what exactly is a block activation? What does that mean to activate the block? This is not
It's
shake the
where
block like the
it's
host, but what is
basically
it?
just throw a big block party on the block. You have food there, refreshments. You have the band come out perform, but over there we're trying to make sure that we educate people, trying to get people to register to vote. That's the main goal. But you're also supposed to have fun at the same time. So that's why you come out. You don't have to be from the neighborhood that we go to. Like we went to Vanderveer, but you don't have to be from Flatbush to come to the block activation. You could be from Dumbo and still come.
I love that. That's great. What would you say that embodied experience is like, to be at a space where you've gathered your community, your intergenerational folks, from the youth to your elders, to great music, to food? What does that feel like to be there in that moment?
It feels empowering. It feels like you're doing something good.
That's amazing.
You know, you got to do something good for once.
Right, right. That's excellent. Jaden, what do you feel when you're at a block activation?
You feel like a part of the community, you know, like even if, like Jallo said, you're not from wherever we are, you know, everybody there is friendly. Everybody will talk to you. Everybody there will engage with you. You know, you don't feel out of place at all. And you get to see some performances. You get to, you know, make connections. You get to gain some knowledge. You know, there's a lot of important things there. And it's a lot of things that make people feel like they're a part of that community as well.
Got you. What would you say you've learned the most from, or what's one of the hugest goals that you've learned in working, or takeaways that you've gained in working with the Empire Marching Elite?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah. The question is, what do you feel was one of the biggest, or has been the biggest lessons or things that you've learned in working with or being affiliated with the Empire Marching Elite, or with Crew Count, or with both?
For the Empire Marching Elite, you know, one thing that we definitely learned, we learned the importance of discipline, and, you know, just being able to listen, just being able to be a part of a family as well. I think those are things that will take me far in life. You know, being disciplined, being able to take directions well, and, you know, not get offended by anything, to know that, you know, we're all a part of a bigger picture that we're trying to create. And you just have to play your part in that picture as well. And Jallo can speak more about the crew count part.
I'm so sorry. Can you repeat the question again? I'm so sorry.
I said, what is one of, or what are some of the lessons that you've learned, or the takeaways that you've learned in being a young person affiliated with either the Empire Marching Elite or with Crew Count?
I learned two things. One, our education system sucks, and that people really don't think the same way. Because during the block activations, I asked people if they registered to vote, and they would tell me, no, I didn't register to vote because I'm not going to vote. And I asked them why. Because I don't want to. Is that the only reason why you don't want to vote? Yes, I just don't want to. Can't give me a real reason why you don't want to vote. It's because you don't know what voting could do for you why you don't want to vote. That's why I think the education sucks. If you understand why something is happening, you'll be able to change it.
No, thank you for taking the time to even educate those and be compassionate. It's not like you are judging someone who's made a decision. You're like, let me teach you about this, or let's unpack why you've made this decision already, which is really great. And I think should happen more. I guess, how would you, like, I'm in that era of the stop and frisk, and I know that's probably still the era that we're in, of policing in our communities, but like being followed home by cops and questioned for your ID, and if you respond the wrong way, it can end in so many different ways. I guess, what are the ways you build community and with the policing as a component of that community and space as well. Like we have folks who stand outside of the projects and it's just like, what are you doing here right now? What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like the police department shouldn't be here. I don't think we need a police department. We should abolish the police department. They don't do anything. They're inefficient. People like Bevo, Brownsville and Violence Out, those are violence interrupters. They've gone 100 days without a shooting in Brownsville. But yet when there's a shooting in Brownsville, the cops spend 96 hours on the block patrolling the block, but the clearance rate is only 6.3% for shootings. You're not finding the shooters, but yet you're just sitting there on the block doing nothing. But yet they get paid for it. We don't need police to get public safety if we have alternatives that are doing the job that the police are supposed to be doing. The police are now getting to the crime scenes trying to find out who shot the person instead of preventing the person from getting shot in the first place.
No, thank you for bringing Brevo into this conversation. They will be honored for their work that you just beautifully described tomorrow for the first FREEFEST honors. I guess, Jaden, what are your thoughts on police presence in our communities?
I think there needs to be, a lot of police reform and the way they think as a whole. Because the police should, like Jallo said, be there to prevent things from happening, not react to things happening. And their over presence in certain areas doesn't help that. It has the community on guard. It doesn't make us feel safe, especially because, the tendencies of what they do to, our people. So, I just feel like they need to reform. They need to think about a way to make us feel safer. And make us welcome them in our communities rather than them being a burden.
For sure. Thank you both for speaking so beautifully about just what needs to happen and what
needs to happen.
Already say, yeah, go for it.
What needs to happen is people need to go vote. I'm gonna tie this all back into you right now. Public safety, all right? NYPD, the person who makes the rules and regulations is the police commissioner. The police commissioner is appointed by the mayor. If your mayor is a corrupt mayor, someone who's not progressive, someone who doesn't want to see change, then the police commissioner is not going to be somebody that wants to see change. The only thing that's going to happen is everything that's already happening. And then, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But you need somebody that's going to create change in the mayoral's office so that the police commissioner isn't someone that's corrupt and they want the same thing that we want, so that the NYPD could get police reform, like Jaden said, so that they know what they're doing, so that people can walk outside their house and not hear gunshots and feel safe. And then there aren't police that are just patrolling the streets, making people feel uncomfortable on their block. Gotcha.
Thank you, Jala. Like, I want to hear you out in the streets just speaking to the community. And playing the music. I feel like the voice is just it's already there. It's so beautiful from the way that you all are speaking about this work, and then also the music that you're producing that I saw in that amazing short. I guess my next question is, how would you describe liberation? What would it look like in your community? I know you mentioned the block activations. What would liberation look like in our Brooklyn communities? Maybe, yes, Jaden, go for it.
Yeah, for me specifically, liberation will, me being able to, go up to anybody, anybody that I see on the street and have a conversation with them about anything for any reason. Not feel threatened by them, not them feel threatened by me, not us have to worry about anything outside. Me being able to hang out late at night if I want to, without, feeling like I'm scared, might be robbed or anything like that. Just overall freedom to do, whatever we want and to feel safe while we're doing it.
Agreed. Jalo, thoughts?
I think that I want the same thing Jaden wants. Also, I want the community to thrive. I want the money to be back inside the community. You go to the corner stores, black owned. The hair salon, black owned. Nail salon, black owned. Everything goes back into the community so that the community can build wealth, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, indeed. I understand very clearly. And I guess on that, and along that lines of community and what liberation could look like, we all have been grappling with gentrification in our communities. And so I guess I'm curious about how that has been playing a role in the identity of your neighborhoods. What has been the response from the people? I know often people associate Williamsburg with hippie, yupster type folks. And it's like, there's hella Black and brown people at Williamsburg projects that we are just gonna overlook. That's their community. So I'm curious about how you all, as young people who are raised in the Brownsvilles and the Crown Heights, how are you, I guess, encountering gentrification in your communities? We can start with either of you. What does it look? Yeah, Jaden, go for it.
So gentrification, I feel like, it's like a ploy to get, Black people out of their own neighborhoods. And, it kind of hurts us at the same time. Like Jallo said, we want to be in a community where everything is Black owned, while, the money is circulating in our community, therefore making our own communities more wealthy. Because, a couple years ago, like Crown Heights area, very Black owned, or even like Bed-Stuy, and they kind of just changed it in a way. So just in general, we just want it to be, more Black owned and just more circulating the wealth.
Agreed. I mean, it would just, it's a Brooklyn that I remember, and it's very much possible. Like the flower shops were owned by Black folks. Liquor stores, or we don't need any more liquor stores in our communities. We have too many of those. But just in thinking about, yeah, Jilla, go for it.
Oh, I was gonna say,
speak your mind. Speak your mind.
It's like all connected, if you understand what I'm saying. They do it on purpose. The food apartheid's and the food deserts. You go to the corner. Let's just say Ralph and Fulton, right?
Yep.
There's a liquor store on Ralph and Fulton. There's a pharmacy on Ralph and Fulton. You walk down the block, there's a chicken spot. You're always gonna find those three located next to each other. They don't give you the Whole Foods that you need. You need some food, you have to go to BJ's or something like that. You can't go around the corner and find a supermarket right there, if you understand what I'm saying. They don't put the good food in your area. They flood the food that's going to make you fat, and that's not healthy for you, like McDonald's and Wendy's and Burger King and White Castle. It's all a ploy. They do it on purpose, I'm telling you. That's why we need people in positions of power that's going to stop it. Put the resources that we need into our community so we can thrive, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes. And I guess on the other side of things, like I'm absolutely here with you. I'm on Ralph and Jefferson, and I was shocked that I'm very happy that there's 3 vegan spots on one block, but it's like those are the only things here. And I'm like, great, we got vegan spots in the neighborhood, but like, who's coming here? It's bringing other folks to the space as well. But I guess I had a question, because we are celebrating Juneteenth in ways that we've never have before. And President Biden just signed this legislation for Juneteenth. And shout out to Mrs. Opal Lee, who's walked from Texas to the White House to advocate for this day as a national holiday. I guess I'm curious about how those representatives that are in office are, I guess, playing into certain policies, or if they're helping or if they're not. And I guess I get Jalil, you could speak to that, or is that another performance, active performance, or performative? Yeah, go for it.
I can tell you right now, right? Eric Adams, he's the borough president currently. I've had an interview with him. No, I'm lying. Crew Count hosted a town hall on Tascott and Sutter, right? I asked him personally, do you think the work that you've done as borough president helped the community at all? He said no. What makes you think that I'm going to vote for you now to be mayor? If you understand what I'm saying. The things that's going on, the tactics that they're using, is not helping at all. We need someone that's going to change, someone innovative that knows what needs to be done. And not the same way they've been doing it before, because that's obviously not working. It's working, just not in our favor.
So do you feel like this move to, I guess, observe Juneteenth, what are your thoughts around this becoming a national holiday?
I honestly think I don't know. I can't really speak on that. I don't know.
No worries. From your own experience, and you don't have to speak on behalf of anyone. It's just in not knowing about this Black event that happened, and then now there's like an observation around it. I'm curious about just how you are. Like, we all know what it is to be off on Columbus Day, and that be like, what are we doing? What's happening on this day? Now that we have Juneteenth, I'm curious, even as you young people are, yeah,
I can say,
Mhm.
okay, let's say, okay, it feels good to get the recognition, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then think, what's behind that? What are they up to? Their mission is not to have the Black community thrive and become successful. They want to stay up top, keep the rich and the poor. That's what they want. So now you have to think what's behind that. I honestly think, I'm not speaking on behalf of Crew Count, it's a ploy. They're up to something. Give you something good, make it something known. That's nice. But then, are you really going to help us? You're giving us, making it a holiday or whatever. Yes, that's cool. But what does that do to us in our community? What does that do to help us get the resources that we need? It doesn't really do anything for us.
For sure. Jaden, what do you think about this now becoming a holiday?
I absolutely agree with what Jalil said. You know, we appreciate that he made it a holiday, but there's so many other pressing matters that, you know, need to be attacked and should have been attacked before this, you know. So what really was the reason behind this? You know, was it for us or was it for them to make themselves look better? Because there's so many other things that we need help with, and making one day a national holiday isn't really what we need.
For sure. And I agree with you both on that point. And I'm thinking about, Jalil, your statement earlier about the importance of education. And with this being a national holiday now, how much more do you think folks are educated on the history of Juneteenth? Like, I was watching an NBA, the playoffs yesterday with Brooklyn Nets, who got washed. But the announcer was like, he commented about Juneteenth and was like, it was the day that slaves were freed. And it's like, actually, no, that's not completely right. But what do you think is being learned from this moment? What do you know about Juneteenth? And how did you begin to learn about Juneteenth? Because many people, I've been working on a project interviewing folks, they could be 50 plus years old and was like, I just found out about this. And so what, I guess, is each of your experiences with the history of Juneteenth, and how did you come to know about what that moment entailed?
I honestly can't tell you because I don't remember learning it in school.
Right.
I
and it's
can't tell you that I learned about what Juneteenth was in school. So I can't tell you when I learned it.
And you have an idea of what the history of Juneteenth is?
I have a little idea.
Okay, what do you know? I think this is a moment to, there's no such thing as being ignorant. I'm trying to build and have a dialogue like you suggested, and how you educate folks that are under Broadway tracks and like, yo, why you not voting? This is the same thing. This is a moment right now. We're celebrating Juneteenth and not knowing our history. And both of you are tied to the South with your work with wanting to uplift HBCU marching bands. This is a day that is very significant to Texas and Galveston. And so I love to hear from the youth and what you know. And to your point, they're not teaching us this in history classes. At the same time, they're like taking critical race theory out of classes. So Jaden, what do you think? What's your connection to Juneteenth? Have you heard about it before this moment?
I went to a really open high school, like really progressive. So I learned about it not in class, but I learned about it from a lot of my peers. you know, realizing that this is something we should be celebrating. You know, I didn't get really a lot of history or background behind it. You know, I just know it's, you know, celebrating, you know, the freedom of slaveries. But other than that, I really don't know too much of the history behind it.
For sure. I guess I would be curious to hear your response to learning that for 2.5 years after slavery was abolished, so after Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, there were a set of troops, Black troops, on their way down to Mexico, passing through Galveston, Texas, and noticed that there were still Black people working on plantations enslaved. And so went to go tell them, like, y'all free. And they're like, what are you talking about? And so they put up the post of the Emancipation Proclamation in the church, because that was a central place for folks to go and have an outlet. Even still, they didn't believe what was stated there and had to have somebody come down as an official and read to them what was what. And that's how they learned of their freedom. 2.5 years after many enslaved people were finally freed. What are your thoughts on that? Hearing that, looking at your faces says so much, but if you could put words to that, what would you think? And what's your response?
It just indicates how much, you know, they try to keep us in the dark. It just indicates how much, you know, they really tried their hardest to oppress us. And that's exactly what they did. Because even though, like, they knew, you know, the Emancipation Proclamation, you know, they knew they were free, but they still tried their hardest to keep them in the dark and continue to enslave them and continue to violate their rights and take advantage of them. It's just, like, literally just terrible.
Agreed.
I honestly think it's just sickening. It's crazy. That's what I think.
It is, and the trauma is deep. Like, we all are, like, seeing your faces is reflective of, like, the pain we carry across generations, and are just working through so much that we don't even know that our bodies and that our ancestors have encountered and experienced. I thought you were reaching to unmute yourself, Jallo. Okay, so we are at the final few minutes of this conversation. I really love talking to you both. I have a question about if we could hear the Empire Marching Elite Creed motto to close us out. Okay, cool. Put me on to what this entails.
I got you right now.
Go
the Empire Marching Elite. The Empire Marching Elite. Soulful sound that never sleeps. Changing the world one groove at a time. Always marching with an empire state of mind. Our sound is strong, our passion is stronger. Taking over the concrete jungle with sounds of thunder. We are the Empire Marching Elite. Ahoo!
Facts.
Hey, how did that originate? What went into building that motto? What do you feel when you state that motto? That's like a chant right there.
Me? I love saying it. Whenever they call that out, I always yell it at the top of my voice, because it just, everybody's saying it in unison. You know, it kind of shows how much we are as a family, how much, you know, discipline we have, and how much we've grown from where we started, and how much we're going to continue to grow to where we want to be. It's just something that we'll continue to say, and that it's something that empowers us as a group, just to keep going. Like, it moralizes us, it keeps us, builds us up.
Amazing. Jallo, what about you? You are like the hype man of this model right now, but I know you also probably say it too. And what do you feel when you embody it?
I also probably say it. I do say it. I know.
Okay.
I mean, I can never really say it as loud as he can, because he's behind me yelling it. I laugh a little sometimes. So, but I mean, I feel like a team. I feel like we're all one.
How important is that, to feel like you have community and family behind you and in front of you, on the side of you?
It feels pretty good. Builds the connection between you two, between the group.
Excellent.
Yeah, there's never a moment that I've ever felt unsafe with these people. You know, I feel like not only are we families, we're each other's protectors, and that's something I also really appreciate about everybody.
I love that. Shout out to the Empire Marching Elite and Crew Count. The work that you both are doing with these initiatives is just so powerful, and I can't wait to continue to follow each of your journeys. So, everyone who's watching, know that you can find these two young, brilliant faces tomorrow at Domino Park or in Brooklyn doing the right thing, doing all of the things. Any final thoughts that you would like to share before we close out? You should also drop all of those the sites that we can find each of these collectives. Jaden, go for it first.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the Empire Marching Elite is not the only thing we do. You know, we have a lot of other entities that we do. You know, we help uplift people, a lot of different programs in Bola. So, you know, come find out. We do a lot of other things than marching bands. You know, we're in the community, we're doing the right thing.
Excellent. Jalil?
What were you saying? I had put the link.
It's only going to go to me and Jaden.
Oh, that's crazy.
You need to say it so the audience can hear you.
Oh, that's
Where are you
crazy.
sending us?
WeBuildTheBlock.org. You can find out information about Crew Count there.
Excellent. Sweet. And tomorrow each will be available at Domino Park, so look out for these two young faces. Thank you so much for this incredible dialogue. Like I said, I will be looking and rooting and cheering you both on and look forward to just your journey in this lifetime. The block are dropped right below. WeBuildTheBlock.org, so please be sure to check out the work there, and then also check out the flypaper.org FREEFEST, where you can see all of the programming that's happening this week, but tomorrow is the main in-person event, so we hope to see you all there.
Also, the website for Bola is www.bola, it's BALAA.org.
Nice. Please visit all of these sites and support these collectives. It's incredible to hear that this is happening in Brooklyn. All right, I think we are at our time. Thank you everyone for joining us. This has been an amazing time talking and learning from Jalil and Jaden. If you have more questions or would like to join us at this event tomorrow, please check out the website here. Have a good evening, everyone.